And now here's part 2 of our episode.
Well, we should talk about the music, because after
Yeah.
listening to a song like this, I mean, something that I hear throughout this album, I mean, I read, like, I think they actually consider, like, 1 or 2 tracks on this to be sort of hip-hop, which I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. But I definitely hear that, like, there's something about the percussion and the drum beats on this album that I think that's what led me to say earlier that it feels like this album's got a swagger to it. I don't know, how do you receive the music in this? I know genre is a weird thing to try and assign to a band, but, like, if you had to describe this music to somebody else, what descriptors would you use?
I would definitely not say hip hop ever.
Yeah, I don't know why they were saying that. It was weird.
Yeah. I think to me, it's like purely rock. It's maybe like moody rock. Maybe I'd say moody rock, if that's something I could say.
Oh, you can say that.
The sounds I think are dreamy, kind of like dragging almost. And again, like I just want to keep saying the word like alcohol-y. Like it's very
Alcohol.
It's very much like it's an alcohol album. It's an alcohol album. I think it's nighttime music. It's nighttime rock. It's sexy nighttime rock is what I would say.
Pretty slow, like pretty medium to slow tempo. Like nothing's too up tempo, it feels like.
Yeah, and it's very reflective.
Yeah, I mean, sort of a departure. I mean, my first encounter with Arctic Monkeys was that first album, which honestly sounds nothing like this one. I mean, it feels, if we were assigning drugs to albums, like this one, I guess feels a little more alcohol, whereas the first album feels like Coke. Like, I mean, it's like high octane, like, it's just going at full speed. Whereas this one, there is sort of a low, like a, I keep saying swagger. I gotta stop talking now. Tyler, what do you want to say?
No, I think that makes sense. And I think you're also touching on something about like who the musical context of the time for quote unquote rock bands, because it feels like if you're gonna name some contemporaries for them, at least at this stage of the game, this was kind of right when Tame Impala was coming out of the gates with those first really good first few albums. So I like all their albums, but like that was so there was already the little psychedelic thing happening with the Australian bands, I feel, for Tame. And then the other contemporary I put with them is the Black Keys, though I don't really love the Black Keys as much as I like Arctic Monkeys. But it sort of feels like the Black Keys are kind of the American version of Arctic Monkeys, maybe.
I could see that.
In terms of scale,
I remember I went to one of their shows in Chicago too. The Black Keys.
They're pretty
good. I'm a lonely boy.
They're pretty good live, honestly. I mean, like some of their earlier stuff when it was just the two guys. I mean, now they've like expanded quite a bit, but yeah, there's a bluesiness to Black Keys. If you sort of like take blues plus psychedelia and like smush it together and give it with a little British jaunt, and you get the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah, I do think you could compare them.
There's a sludginess to this. The
a sludginess, a stodginess.
Yeah, the stodgy. It's overworked. I also think that this was something. There's probably a little bit of metal in it. There's probably a little bit of metal, like just the dragging kind of nature of it, that kind of like ponderous thing in some of these songs. But I also think guitar wise, it's very riffy. Like they're and to be honest with you, it's kind of a corny riff if you ask me. It's not the most inspiring riff to me of all time, but I cannot get it out of my head. Yeah.
I think that's because it's so simple. It's like it's hypnotic. It's just
hypnosis. That's big. 300 points.
Totally.
For that. Yeah.
Hypnosis. And when you said psychedelia, that's what it inspired me to think. It's hypnotic. Like you have no choice but to move with it, which is, I think, another reason I feel like it's alcoholic, because it's like you're just going to make the decisions you're going to make because you're not in the driver's seat anymore.
Right.
Yeah, there's only one moment on the album that feels like the guitar does something different, and that's, I think, on the song One for the Road. There's that guitar solo towards the end, which I haven't checked, which might not even be them, but that might actually be Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age, which, I mean, he guests on this album a few times, and you can hear it. It's pretty clear the songs that he's on.
How does that solo go? I forget how that solo goes. Can you sing it for us?
Yeah, Michael, I can't recall it.
Michael, shred that solo.
I don't know what I'm doing now. It's
that was, yes. No, I know which one you're talking about.
Because there's like a distinctive, like I don't know how familiar you are to Queens of the Stone Age, Lucy, but it's like they're. I mean, they often get labeled as desert rock, which I don't know what the hell that means, but it's there's sort of a
Mad Max rock.
There's like a slyness about Queens of the Stone Age. Like, I mean, Queens of the Stone Age always sounds a little bit dirty to me, and like I shouldn't be listening to this, but not in the same way that I shouldn't be listening to Nine Inch Nails. Like in a I don't know, I can't even
off limits kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess off limits, because like, I mean, Josh Homme, granted, you know, he's flirted with the Me Too line, frankly, which is something I just want to take all of the male rock artists in the world like by the shoulders and be like, stop being dicks. Like, can you please stop being dicks? Because I love your music, but if you're a terrible person, then what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I know, you just want to tell them, be best.
Be best.
Yeah.
Be best. It's true though, because you do think there is like a I'll go so far as to say I feel like Arctic Monkeys is very commercial. Like they've become very commercial in some way, and I don't necessarily say that as a bad thing. Get your money, right? But they do have I do kind of feel like maybe some of the danger that I got from the first few albums, I don't get as much with this one, which is I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it makes you wonder where they're, because they have this new album coming out next month, or it might even when this airs, the new album might already be out, October 2022, and I don't know, like this will be a reinvention. This I think AM was a reinvention of their sound, and I would not be surprised if this one is a complete, like something we've not heard from them yet.
And I like when bands change their sound, and I know that they always get a bad rap, and people are like, you've changed, like play your old stuff. But I'm like, aren't we entitled? Isn't that like what an artist is evolution? So I'm hoping it's different, and I also obviously hope that I love it. But this album was definitely like way more produced. I mean, when you said, Michael, they recorded it in LA, which I didn't know, but makes a lot of sense because it's very much like clean, clear. This was recorded in a studio when they had a big label, and it was made to sound really good.
Yeah, you can kind of hear the money on this album.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that quote. Points for Gryffindor?
Ooh. Points for Michael. Michael gets 15 points. 15 points for that.
Now it's time, when we give you this prompt, we say a perfect album, but we purposely do not define the word perfect for you.
Right.
So we're curious to know, what were your standards when choosing albums to talk with us about?
Okay. To me, it's all vibes. Literally.
Referencing Lucy's famous sketch series.
God, please don't say it. I don't want to be known for that.
Fair enough.
No, but really, it's all vibes. So I think of, I'm not sitting there like, how's the production and how's the vocal and how's the lyrics. It's like, does this make me feel something I've never felt? Does this make me feel more in touch with my humanity that I've ever felt? Does this make me feel like there's a purpose for living, and that is art? Like, that's how I deem an album perfect. So that's why and also, does it connect me to a time in my life where the music assisted in the transformation of who I was?
Damn. Yes. Holy
so it's
moly.
Just those. It's very.
Just those little things.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I wouldn't consider myself a huge music person who can like name bands and name names and know who produced it and know where they're from. To me, it's just like, how does this make me feel? And that's why the 3 albums I sent you were. I just said the 3 albums and put up 4 fingers.
Math is
the 3 albums I sent you were very transformative in my like emotional development. Yeah, it was just like this album in particular I found perfect at the time that I heard it, because it like hit me straight in my heart hole. Like it was just a perfect fit for the shape of the hole at the time of my life.
Is it okay to skip a song on the album and have it still be perfect? Are there tracks on this album that you skip, or is it all the way through, no shuffle?
Oh God, I'm looking at it right now. There are songs that I skip. It's around the 6, 7, 8. You know, I love Number One Party Anthem, and I love Mad Sounds, and Fireside is good too. So actually, no, I mean, I can listen to the whole thing all the way through, but I would say that I have like least favorites. So like it's almost all the way a playthrough, because I mean they flow so well together. It just tells like the story of the longing, and then, you know, getting what they want. But I mean, like looking at Arabella, it's like it's so different from Are You Mine or Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, because Arabella's like, you know, that girl's the rebound. It's like she's hot, she's great, she's sexy, but like there's not a deep, you know. It's like look at this piece I have in my car sitting next to me. But she's not the one, like I'm gonna drop her off later and then be like knocking on my ex's door at midnight, you know.
What a kind of love song that is, right?
Yeah, Arabella's just
still
like an ode to like the slam piece.
Oh God. There's also the like sequencing of this album. It, like you said, it feels like it flows in the right order. Like when I think about it, it seems like the whole album starts and it's late. It's 2:30 in the morning. But like by the time you get to the I Want to Be Yours, it's like sunrise. Like the alcohol is running off, like, or the effects of it are wearing off, and suddenly there's this sort of like realization of like what you really want at the end.
Yeah, you're so right. It is sunrise.
The clarity.
At the end. And those lyrics, that song is fucking painful.
Yeah, that's
John Cooper Clarke's really lovely. Like you should look up as much of his stuff as you can. The poet that features his language on this album, and it's really. I read a quote from him one time that was like, "Poetry is the shortest possible way to say something that needs to be said."
Ooh, I feel like you've told me that before.
Have I?
It's my
talk about it constantly, so that wouldn't surprise me if I told you about that before. I have a repertoire of about 4 bits, you know, and then I pull them out when the situation calls for it.
You're a 4-trick pony.
Listen, it's better than 2. I think I want to connect them too. I think, and when we're looking at timeline, right? I think I hadn't really, until you mentioned Bruce, and it brought back up those feelings, those memories about Bruce. That I so closely associate with you. There's also another band that I closely associate with you, Lucy, which is the Strokes. And I have Is This It on vinyl. And that was man, the times that you and I were down in that basement apartment. Yep. There was a time that we put that record on and you helped me build a bed frame. You're a good friend. Let's just show let's give her 600 points for being a good friend.
Give me points. I remember that we were like, let's get stoned and see how long it takes us to build this bed frame and put on a timer.
And it was not good.
It didn't.
Unsuccessful.
We never finished.
No, definitely not. But that album got a lot of play. And I do see, if we're talking about them coming up in the early 2000s in the UK, the Arctic Monkeys, and I'm beginning to understand just how influential the Strokes were in that New York rock scene in the early 2000s. I took it for granted because of how young I was at that time. But every band you hear about basically that lived in New York around that time or was even aware of what the scene was like, they're like the Strokes were that band that really inspired us to be like, what is possible from live musical performance.
Yeah,
and you can feel
Strokes.
It in there.
Oh yeah, the Strokes were. I mean, I thought to include them, but they were another one of those. I mean, they kind of the same time frame and the same feeling, but the Strokes were a little before the Arctic Monkeys for me. The Strokes were more like, woohoo, here we are, like, oh, we're drinking, but we're also like happy. And then the Arctic Monkeys are like, we're drinking and we've seen it all.
Yeah. How do you come across this album now? Do you listen to it often? Do you listen to it ever? Do you only listen to it when it is like when you happen upon it? How does it live for you now?
Yeah, I think I only listen to it when I happen upon it, and every once in a while, I'll think of the band, and I'll be like, oh God, I gotta listen to this song or that song, and it's usually like 3 or 4 of the same songs. But it's not one that I go back to very often. But when I do, I only drink Dos Equis.
I only drink Dos Equis.
But when I do.
Oh, you get I can't remember what I gave you 600 points for, but you get 900 points for being the most interesting woman in the world.
You're giving me so many points.
Yeah.
So I guess short answer is no, I don't go back to it that often, although I loved when I was reflecting on the albums I think are perfect. I've been listening to it a ton obviously in preparation for this interview, but also just getting back into that, like, ooh, and it actually I'm finding is applying to my life right now too, in a way that I didn't really realize it would. And, from a totally different perspective, but it still really speaks to me, and I can relate it to things that I'm living right now.
Yeah. Okay. So to review the board, Lucy, hell of an argument you've staged today. God, it's riveting. So taking it from the most recent points you got 900 points for being the most interesting woman in the world and only drinking Dos Equis. You got 600 points for something that I got too excited to write down the reason for, so there's 600 more there. Michael got 100. Oh no, you got 100 points for it's perfect if it's touching my humanity, if it's me leaving me transformed. Michael got 15 points for you can hear the money. You got 300 points for talking about the hypnotic quality of this album, 200 points for talking about how Arctic Monkeys are kind of feline, 400 for saying that you don't feel like they're going to sexually assault us. That's not the vibe that they give us. It's a good thing. Yep.
Right.
100 points for Fools Swaggering and for this being an alcohol album. And then you had your 99 points for fitting music together mathematically, for it being a little nugget of realness, of reality, and for pretending to like Skrillex in the year 2010 as a survival tactic.
I did.
So those are the points on the board. You made a hell of a case. Any closing words? Just a sentence or two about what you want to leave the audience with before we tell you if this album is perfect or not?
No.
Great. Love it.
Excellent.
So, Michael, you've seen the points on the board. You've heard Lucy's very riveting, freaking unforgettable experiences and how she relates to this album. What do you think, buddy? We're back for season 3. We got Lucy Blehar on here.
Give it to me, true.
Is AM by Arctic Monkeys a perfect album? Does it go to 11?
I think based on the fact that, Lucy, you and I had like the same visual images conjured up in our brain simply by listening to this album, the fact that there's a mind connection here, and I think we're probably not the only ones who would associate this album with those images. I mean, I think, damn it, this is a perfect album.
Damn it.
How many of your albums make it to perfect?
Every
single
all of
one.
them.
You know what though? Okay, but I will say there was one episode where it was close. It was a little rough, and I will say, and I don't want to spoil anything for our listeners, but there is an album coming up later this season that we're going to be listening to that I am not entirely sure about. So it's
Season 3. We're going deep, baby.
Yeah, because who are we to yuck anyone's yum,
Yeah, well, that's right.
I think that's fair.
Lucy, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. I love talking about this album.
Oh, I could not be more grateful for your friendship, us playing husband and wife in so many college plays together.
We were the only ones because we were tall.
We were tall. It's really an honor to have you on here, and we're happy to have you as part of the This One Goes to 11 family. Mm-hmm. Everybody, make sure you check out all the things that Lucy is up to that I told you about in her bio at the beginning of the thing. She's just one of the most wickedly talented people that I know.
Aw. Well, thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Michael. So great to see you.
So great to see
gosh,
you.
after all these years, I'm so glad you don't have COVID. And
dodged a bullet.
Tyler, I'll see you in LA very soon.
Yeah, you will. Michael, what was our standout track that we wanted to share with people?
Well, I think we want to leave them with a song that feels super appropriate based on the conversation we had about this album and the experience. We're going to leave our listeners with "Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High."
Enjoy, everybody.
Yeah, just enjoy it. See y'all next week.
Just enjoy it.
Just do it. Do it, damn it.
Fucking enjoy it.
Oh my God.
Come on, for fuck's sake.
Would you just enjoy it?
You crazy. You've been putting me through the ringer all day.
Would you just sit your ass down and enjoy it?
Come on.
Okay.